Hey, what's going on, mother truckers? Welcome back to another episode of the Raw and Unscripted Show with yours truly, Christopher Rausch, the place where I help you overcome your self-created crap about the self-help fluffy bullshit. And tonight we got another amazing episode with you tonight. It's just you and I. And tonight we're going to be talking about something that was asked of me to do on this show, and I couldn't think of a better topic to do it on. And that is going to be the topic tonight is the lies that we tell ourselves to become successful. Right. When you think about that in our lives, I thought about this. I gave this some time and I thought about there are lies that we tell ourselves about success. And so tonight's conversation, I encourage you to take notes and put in the chat. If you guys are watching this live on the video cast, put in the chat what it is that perhaps I miss or things that you have questions about. Even if you're watching on the replay, feel free to put those in the chat and I will see those messages and I will be able to answer them directly on the chat in social media, or I'll send you a direct message as well to be able to help you out with this, because this is super, super important, ladies and gentlemen. The things we tell ourselves are super, super powerful. And so oftentimes, and I've had people say this to myself, you're an overnight success. And oftentimes we look at somebody and we think that they're an overnight success when really they're not. I've watched a bunch of documentaries and biographies about famous people in my life, and there are quite a few similarities in successful people. And we're going to be talking about those in tonight's conversation. So if you have been sabotaging your own success lately or in your life, my goal, my purpose, my mission, my passion in this conversation tonight is to share with you some perspectives and proven strategies that you can apply in your life that will shift the results that you are achieving. And that's what it is really with me. That's all I'm really trying to do in this podcast, in my coaching and everything else, is to get you to shift your perspective about what it is that you perhaps have been thinking about, what your past situations are, your mistakes, your regrets, the future, the worry, the fear, and everything else. But how often are we truly living in the moment? And how often are we truly setting ourselves up for success? So what I've done is I've listed out here some excuses that I've heard, some reasons that I've heard about success. And we're going to talk about the myths of those. M-Y-T-H, myth. Can I say myth? The myths of those. And then more importantly, after that, we're going to talk about the strategies that you can implement in your life if perhaps your success has been eluding you. So let's jump right into it. And thank you guys for joining us, whether you're here on the video cast or you're on the podcast. Thank you guys so much. We're celebrating episode number 315. So there are no shortages of episodes and opportunities if you're new to the podcast to go back and check out this. And I have talked about a lot of the suggestions and the excuses in many other podcasts. So feel free to go check those out. And there's going to be one specifically that I'm going to direct you to that we're going to be talking about here tonight. So let me just jump into the first lie that I wrote down for this particular subject. And when we think about success and we think about anything that we're going to do, here's the lie. It will be hard and it will take too long. Now, have you caught yourself saying that? I just had somebody tell me that not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and they said it's going to take too long and it's going to be too hard. Here's what I say to that. Yeah. And good, right? When you think about your life, when have you had the most appreciation for the circumstances that you've been through? Or have you had the appreciation perhaps when things were challenging, and on the other side of that, retrospectively, you're looking back on that, and because it was tough, because it was challenging, isn't the reward sweeter? Right? Think about that. If it was all handed to you, it was all given to you, is there that appreciation? Is there that respect? Is there that sense of pride for yourself on the other side of whatever it might be that you're doing? Weight loss, health, job, career, finances, relationships, whatever it might be, they all go together. And so when you think about it, it's going to be hard, Chris. I hear that all the time. Chris, it's going to be so hard. It's going to be so hard. I'm like, yeah, you know what? But here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen, latch onto this. It will be worth it. It will be worth it. My life has been full of challenges, betrayals, backstabbings, lies, all sorts of different things. And I'm here today, sitting in front of you, talking to you today with immense gratitude for those people in my life who challenged me, for those circumstances and those situations that challenged me, because I was able to really dig deep and find out if this was something that I truly, really wanted, right? When you think about this, when you think about your life, you think about the discipline, you think about the dedication, you think about the clarity of what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it, right? You think about it this way. It's going to be long and hard, but it's going to be worth it. So when you're going through those opportunities, you can ask yourself the question, what am I supposed to be learning? What am I supposed to be doing and growing from this particular situation? And I look at it this way. If you're lucky, if you're blessed, and we're going to talk about luck here in just a few minutes. When I think about, being lucky or blessed, I think about longevity. And so when you think about it, if something is going to take you, let's say 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, maybe even 5 years. It might take you 5 years to get your business up and running and to be profitable. But on the other side of that 5 years, you're going to look back and you're going to have so much gratitude and gratitude for the challenges that you pushed yourself through, because we're here to grow. We're here to grow, and we're here to invest our time wisely. And just because we want something, just because we're in a very, I can get it right now society, with Amazon and everything else, we can get the answers that we want, the things, we can get immediate songs on our Spotify. The thing we have to develop is patience, right? Patience and appreciation for the journey, for the challenges, because so oftentimes we don't want the challenges. We don't. Oh man, I don't want the challenges. I don't want the bad luck. I don't want anything else. I just want it all to land in my lap perfectly. Now, I have known people who have had that kind of luck, or have been in those situations where I just landed on it. Just, they were in the family, the money was there, everything was there. But guess what was missing? The appreciation, and also the respect for ourselves of having decided on something that we want and deciding that we're never going to give up, right? We're never going to give up. For me, that was at age 13, 14 years old when I was homeless and I was sleeping in the backseat of a station wagon. And I realized, my goal at that point was never to be homeless, to own my own home, to have financial security and abundance. And so everything that was driven in my life was all about survival. It was all about doing that. And having that big why in my life put me through some pretty tough situations. I was a 7th grade dropout. And so I went back to school and got my GED at 18 years old when I really didn't think I could. And then on top of that, I started going to college when I never, ever thought I would go to college. I never thought I was smart enough, right? I'm going to talk about imposter syndrome here in a second. I felt like an imposter. And so it's important when you think about your life and what it is that you're doing, it's all building blocks. It's all building blocks, right? When you think about that, you have to have that. Do you want it bad enough, right? If I want it bad enough, then I have the discipline. I have the discipline to wake up when nobody else is awake and to work on these things and to give it the effort that most people won't give it, right? When you think about becoming a musician or an actress or an actor, that takes supreme dedication. It takes a sacrifice. You have to move to California, you have to move to New York, right? Maybe not so much you have to do that anymore, but you have to have those sacrifices. And when you do that, ultimately, when you lay your head on your pillow at night, here's what I want you to do. I want you to find something to be proud of, right? So you think about there's 365 days in a year, 365 nights, maybe not perfect, maybe 360 nights. You go to sleep and you think, man, I am proud of myself for having done the thing today that I didn't want to do, for having made the phone call that I didn't want to do, to have to give up on the thing that I didn't want to have to give up in order to make sure I have the resources and abilities to do the thing that's most important to me. Right? I remember a quote that said, you can't have anything. You can have anything you want. You can't have everything you want. So think about that again. You can have everything you want, but you can't have anything you want. You can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. So when you think about that, what is the priority? Because so oftentimes, we're going to talk about this in a second, we're going to talk about the fact that we give ourselves the excuse that it's all happening perfectly. In a time when you think about that, when I look back on my life and I look about all the different junctures and situations that have happened and all the challenges, that lesson was there for me to learn before I got into this next thing. And so when you think about it, sometimes we have to go through lessons and challenges on our way to that success. And I believe with certainty that everything happens for a reason. And it may not be to our liking, that reason. It may not be to our liking when those things happen, but the strength that we get in our life comes from those challenging situations, comes from things being hard, comes sometimes from taking too long, right? I'm 56 years old. And my goal in my life, if you guys have been following me for any length of time, you guys know that my eulogy that I wrote back in 2008, to fight for what's right and what's fair, to risk for which that mattered, to make the world a better place for who I am and what I do. I've achieved that tenfold. Have I achieved it on the level that I really want to achieve it? No. I'm world domination, right? You know who Tony Robbins is. You know who Les Brown is. You know who Zig Ziglar is. You know who all the big people are. I'd like to have my name in those lights. And I have not achieved that yet. And it has been a long, long, long battle, a long challenge. But in grand respect of things, I have achieved that, because every day when I wake up, I set the intention to use my words and my actions and my voice and my emotions and my feelings to make this world a better place, to find situations that I will be proud of tonight when I go to sleep. And it is not perfect. Sometimes I go to sleep and there's things I'm not proud of and I'm frustrated. And, maybe I didn't stick to my diet. Maybe I didn't do my workout. Maybe I was negative that day. Maybe I said I was going to do 7 things and I did 1. Right. So maybe I'm not necessarily feeling that sense of pride in that accomplishment. But when I look at it all pieced together, all of those situations and those actions have led up to this point. And when I've achieved success or I've accomplished something, right? We always think when we get there, then we'll be happy, which we're going to talk about. No, this is all about realizing that the delays and the challenges and everything that is happening in your life is preparing you for what's next. And so I like to say it like this in the total conclusiveness of it. Everything that has happened in your life and everything that's happening in your life is preparing you for what's next. And it may not be to your liking. But as long as you're enjoying the journey, as long as you're finding that ability to have gratitude, even in the dirtiest, muckiest of times, man, I'm grateful for I'm going this, because I know that ultimately this is all preparing me for what's next. And I got to earn my bruises. I got to earn my scrapes and my scratches and my cuts. And I got to get this experience, because it's going to make the victory even that much sweeter. And perhaps there's things I need to learn along the way that I can use and implement when I achieve that said goal. So yeah, the lie that we tell ourselves is it's going to be hard, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to take too long. But hey, the time is going to go by anyway. Those hard things are what have helped you the most in your life, because when you look back on your life, did you learn much when things were easy? Or was it really in the times where you had to scrape and you had to find out what you were made of, and you had to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and you had to outshine and outperform all the other people to get that promotion? You had to outshine and outperform all the people to make the team, right? Whatever it might be for you, it may take a while and it may be hard, but that is all because it's preparing you for what's next. So don't have the expectation that it's going to be easy and it's going to be overnight. Have the expectation like, hey, on the other side of this, I'm going to be a badass motherfucker, and I'm going to learn some things that perhaps I didn't know that I needed to learn in order to be successful. So there you have lie number 1. It'll be too hard and take too long. Here's another lie that is super important, and I kind of alluded to it before, that I'm not good enough. I'm not a good enough singer. I'm not pretty enough actress. I'm not a talented enough actress. I'm not good enough, whatever it might be. It all relates back to imposter syndrome. And I can tell you that when I first entertained being a professional speaker in front of many, many people, hundreds of people, thousands of people, whatever it might be, there was definitely a sentiment of being an imposter. Man, I was a homeless kid. I lived in a car with 18 cats and 4 dogs. I dug through dumpsters. I did all these different things. I don't deserve it. Who am I to tell people how to be successful? And in retrospect, in many ways, I am the person that could tell people how to be successful, because I was not successful. I had zero self-confidence. I had no ability to speak in front of people. I didn't think I was smart or intelligent. I didn't think I was funny. I didn't think I was good looking. But there was a deep desire within me to prove that to myself. And there was a deep desire within me to prove other people who were wrong. Oh, Chris, you're never going to amount to anything. You're so stupid. Nobody wants to hear from you. Nobody wants to talk to you. And because I kept those things percolating in the back of my brain and said, you know what, someday I'm going to show those people. And I used that friction to push myself outside of my comfort zone, to be able to shift my perspective about my beliefs, to shift my perspective about what people had said about me. They can say those things to us. They could tell you you're a piece of shit. They could tell you you're stupid. They could tell you you're not talented. They could tell you all those things. And it comes right to here. It comes right. And if you guys are watching me, you guys know I'm pointing to my ear. For those guys who are listening, I'm pointing to my ear. You do not have to accept that as truth. Even if it may be truth, you do not need to accept it at this point. You can sit there and say, that might have been true at one point, but it is no longer fit me, because now I'm deciding to level myself. Now I'm deciding to put myself out into tough situations because I had the experience. I have the demonstrated experience of going through hell and now ultimately getting my GED and then getting my master's degree after 12 years of being in college. Right? To sit there and say that I was a homeless 7th grade dropout who lived in the backseat of a station wagon with a mother with psychiatric disorders and 18 cats and 4 dogs, to be able to ultimately have a master's degree, it took tenacity. And am I fucking proud of that? Yeah. I'm super, super proud of that, because I've had people with amazing lives who were born into wealth and abundance and whatever else might be, not be as successful as I am. They're like, Chris, I kind of think that maybe I needed to go through some shitty times in order to have respect for what it is that I have. And that may be true for you, but you're not an imposter. You're not an imposter, not unless you're trying to lie to yourself and you're trying to lie to other people about what you are. But if you're a person who's tenacious, if you're a person who's deserving, if you're a person who is willing to do what other people aren't going to do in order to achieve that special significance in your life, right? It's all about the power of belief. I sell wristbands. I don't do a shitty job of selling them to you guys, but I sell wristbands. That one says believe. On the other side of it says no excuses. If you guys are interested, it's a big blue one with white lettering. And then there's another one that I sell that says unstoppable right there. I'm putting up on the screen unstoppable, and it says no excuses. Right. So when I was asked, and I've been asked this many, many times, like, Chris, given the circumstances and the situations, the abuse that you grew up with in your home, the bullying that you grew up with at school, the bullying you grew up with on your block, all the different factors in your life, right, should point to the fact that you shouldn't be successful. So what is it that you can determine, you can point to, that are reasons for you being successful? And I have answered this quite a few times. I never gave myself excuses, and I never stopped. Right? So if you're feeling like an imposter, what are a few things that you can start to do today by which doing so will help you own that about yourself? I am a great singer, right? I may not be the greatest singer right now, but I know with effort and training and commitment and dedication and time and perseverance and having a big why, I know I'm going to continue to become a better singer every single day, because I'm going to dedicate myself to that. And I will tell you this. I'm a big, huge music fan. So I follow a lot of musicians. I've watched musicians from their startup to their success to their decline. I've read tons of biographies, like I said before. And it still surprises me to this day. Like, you take a band like the Rolling Stones. Everybody knows who the Rolling Stones is. You may not care for their music or whatever it might be, but the Rolling Stones still rehearse. They're in their fucking 80s. And I hear this all the time. Bon Jovi's rehearsing right now. They're in Nashville. They're rehearsing for a couple of dates they're going to be doing in June or July. Shinedown, a band I'm going to be seeing in August. They were doing rehearsals. They were practicing and rehearsing the songs they've done over and over and over again. And to me, that's somewhat surprising, because to me as a musician, I mean, I play music. It doesn't take me that long to kind of think about stuff, but in the grand scheme of things, what do they want to do? They want to step on stage and perform and give you value for your money, for value for your time. They want you to experience joy and elation and whatever else the emotions are that go along with music, right? So they dedicate themselves to rehearse, to practice. And that is something special, right? When you think about, oh, we're going to say, the band Kiss is going to get together and they're going to rehearse for a couple of weeks before their gig. Like, they played the songs thousands and thousands of times, but because they care. So if you're struggling with imposter syndrome, am I practicing enough? Am I rehearsing enough? Do I own this, right? When we think of something, how do you get good at something? You do it over and over again, and you say, wow, that's another way of not to do it. That's another way. Perhaps what is the one thing that I could do by which doing so with this, it'll make it a little bit easier. It'll make it a little bit better, right? And we start to learn those things. And I think about my life and the lessons that I've learned, many of which I've had to learn a few times because maybe I didn't take it seriously in the moment when I was learning it. But for the most part, the lessons I've learned, I've been able to catalog them and go, hey, wait a minute. I remember I was in a similar situation to this. Perhaps I need to be a little bit more careful. Perhaps I need to put something in writing because I've been burned before. Perhaps even though these people are good people and they swear to God that it's all going to be good, hey, just put it in letters on a piece of paper and sign it. And that way we both know we're good. Right. And again, that ability to be able to speak up for yourself and to say what you deserve is super, super important. And that, my friends, does not come alone often. Right. And I think about my success and I think, would I be here? Would I be doing this right now? Would I be as successful as I am right now had I not had other people in my life who mentored me, who inspired me, who coached me? Right? Did I go to seminars and classes? Did I go to school? Have I read books? Have I read seminars? Have I listened to books on tape? Have I had a coach? Have I been a part of a mastermind? Have I been a part of a group coaching program? Yes, 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 yes. So in order not to have imposter syndrome, we have to surround ourselves with the people that own it. And sometimes we're hanging around the fraudsters who are trying to fake it until they make it. I don't say fake it till you make it. I used to many years ago, but now I sit here and I give you the strategy, act as if. So if you were dealing with imposter syndrome, here's what you can do. Start acting as if, right? If you wrote a best-selling book, what do you think you would do to start your day? Right? I want to write a best-selling book. I want to write a best-selling book. I want to write How would you be if you wrote the best-selling book? What do you suppose you would be doing? How well would you be taking care of yourself? How many people would you know in the publishing industry? How important is to know now about social media strategies in order to be a best-selling author? What are the rules for becoming a best-selling author, right? And you think about, and you start realizing that all the different things and the actions that we're taking, although they may not be what we want, they may be what we need. And that's super important, right? So when you think about that, and in order to deal with imposter syndrome, you have to find the answers. And I can tell you this right now, and I'm going to be fucking honest with you guys. I did it back in the days where I had to go to the library. Now, some of you fuckers may not even know what a library is. It's a library. It's a place you go to check out books for free. And in my day, they had cassette tapes also. And so I would have to sometimes take the bus because I didn't have a car because I was young. I had to take the bus. I had to take 2 buses to the Anaheim Public Library. And then I had to go in there and make the investment, maybe to sit down for a few hours and read part of a book right there, read a magazine article, or get a cassette tape, and then go dedicate myself to doing it. And so as I continue to do that, as I continue to act as if I was already a motivational speaker, act as if I was already a life coach, act as if I was already the director of operations, act as if I was already a solid person in a relationship with a mate, right? But now you have Google. You have YouTube, you have ChatGPT, you have artificial intelligence. There is no shortage of the opportunity to gain the information that you, listening to this or watching this, need in order to get that experience, in order to be able to sit there and say, I'm no longer an imposter. I own this. The answers are there. So you can do that. You can reach out. You can read autobiographies from famous people and find out how they process their journey from maybe being a fuck up to being a published author, from maybe being a fuck up to being an actor or an actress. But here's the thing. If you're struggling with that imposter syndrome, who are the 5 people you're hanging around the most? And what are those people telling yourself about your attitude, your demeanor, your ability to produce results, right? Are you hanging around people that are telling you you're stupid and you should stay in your lane? Or are you hanging around people that say, hey, Chris, what have you done that's uncomfortable lately? Okay, I'm going to challenge you over the next 2 weeks. I want you to do 2 things that are completely outside your comfort zone and tell me about it. I have people in my life that push me to that extent. When I was hanging around people where I was the smartest person in the room, guess what? I felt like an imposter. But when you get around the right people in the room, things start to change. So lie number 2 is I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter. And I can tell you this, I've done a few shows completely on imposter syndrome. So if you go and check out rawandunscripted.com, or you go to Spotify or iTunes or whatever it might be, even YouTube, you guys can go to my YouTube playlist and you can type in imposter syndrome. And I know there's a couple of shows where me and my guest, or even I, went deep into imposter syndrome. So the information is there. Now, here's my challenge to you. Go and find out what that episode is, and then send me a message and let me know what episode it is. Just because you were the one that went above and beyond. Let me know. Say, hey, Chris, that imposter syndrome was episode number 212. I don't know what it is. Go out there. And again, go look for the answers. You have a fucking computer in your pocket every day. Stop doing this shit and scrolling TikTok and looking at funny cat memes, and instead dedicate yourself to becoming the person that you deserve to be, that's going to achieve those successful results on your terms. Okay. Lie number 3. This is a good one. If I wait until everything is perfect, then I'll be prepared and ultimately successful. Okay. Think about that. Perfection. How many of you guys have said to yourself, oh, when it's just perfect, then I'll be able to execute on that. When I've done enough research, when I've figured out the company name, when I've done all these things, then I can start. Let me just tell you right now, perfection is bullshit. Perfection is bullshit. It is the biggest excuse that people use. Oh, I need everything to be perfect. I need everything just to be just right. That's just how I am. No, you're the person that takes imperfect action. You're the person that sits there and says, you know what? I've got a couple of facts and figures in this, and I'm just going to go for it. And I'm not going to wait until everything is perfect. I had somebody tell me the other day, like, oh, I'm designing the background for where I do my videos. And I said, just do the video. It doesn't matter what the background is. It matters the content. What are the 3 things that you want to get across to the person in the video? What do you want them to walk away knowing? And then build it in your brain and go do it. Go do it. Go take that imperfect action. I'm sitting here today as that former homeless 7th grade dropout because I took imperfect action. I figured it out every step of the way. And I figured it out by making those mistakes, by sticking my foot in my mouth, by doing things absolutely completely inaccurately, by wasting money, by all those things. But I kept taking that imperfect action because as I did it, hey, there's another way not to do it. Hey, if I did it that way, but I added this, then I might be able to get a different result. But don't sit there and say you're working on it. Oh, I'm working on my dream. I've been working on my dream. I'm still working on it, Chris. I'm still working on it. It's like, why weren't you? I had somebody tell me they were going to start a taco truck, like back in like 2007. I said, why haven't you started the taco truck? Oh yeah, I've been working on the menu, and I've been thinking, like, what's going to set me apart and all that's good. But if you made a fucking taco, right? Can you make some tacos? I mean, I think now this day and age, you can actually run a business out of your house, and people can like DoorDash and go pick up shit at your house. This is a true story. I heard this. It wasn't my true story, but somebody was ordering Indian food or something, like Greek food or whatever it was. And instead of doing the DoorDash, they found out where the address was, and they went there, and it was a house. So these people were making this delicious for Greek food, or it was something very, very unique. And they showed up and they're like, oh, whoops, this is actually, it isn't a place of business. Take that imperfect action, start doing it. I became a coach just by helping people. I was just like, oh, you should be a coach. You should be a psychiatrist. You should be this, you should be that. And so then what I started doing is I didn't even want the money. I just wanted the experience. I just wanted to help people. So I started pay it forward coaching, where somebody would coach with me for 6 weeks. They would go out and do 3 nice things for somebody else. And that was the payment. And guess what? I got experience coaching different types of people and different types of situations that I had never heard of and I didn't know about. So I would meet with that person. I wouldn't know about it. I would spend the next 7 days in between that session and the next session, and I would learn a bunch of stuff about whatever it is that person was going through. And sure, I would show up and I would look like the expert. And I learned about what to do and how to get out of situations. And I was able to share them and not tell them what to do, but ask them questions about what it is that they were doing in order to get them to do different things, right? So when you think about it, when you're using the excuse, oh, I'm working on something, you can always be working on it. But in that perfection thing, oh, it needs to be, Who fucking cares? What are you worried about? Oh, I'm worried about what my parents are going to say. I'm going to worry about what my spouse is going to say. I'm worried about what my friends are going to say. I'm worried about what the experts are going to say. And they're going to call me out. They're going to figure out that I'm a farce. It's like, no, you're figuring it out as you go, and you're working on it in process, right? You're not going to launch anything that's perfect. It's all about that execution. It's all about getting dirty. It's all about going after it. Because when I look at my life, when I wanted to become a supervisor, I told my boss I wanted to become a supervisor, and she said, "Are you sure?" And again, be careful what it is that you ask for. And so I said yes. And I had to dedicate my life to that in that year, to earning the respect of my fellow staff members who were my peers. I had to read a bunch of biographies about successful leaders. I had to talk to a bunch of people. I had to hustle. I had to do way more work than I'd ever done before. But 12 months later, I proved to my boss that I was worthy of becoming a supervisor. And guess what? I got the job without the title and the pay for the first year also. So I was willing to make a sacrifice. I was willing to bet on myself and tell my boss, to tell her boss, hey, Chris will do it for a year without the raise. And if he does it, then you give him the raise and the promotion. And guess what? I went from supervisor to manager to director, and I was on my path to becoming a chief operating officer, but things have changed, and my desires and my goals have changed, which is something we're going to talk about here in a second, right? So when you think about your life and you think about this lie, everything has to be perfect. It doesn't. And if somebody is going to focus on the negatives and focus on your weaknesses and focus on all that different stuff, you need, again, different people in your life. You should welcome the critique. You should welcome the breakdown of whatever it is that you're working on. It should not be perfect. You sit there and say, okay, where are the holes? What are the things that I'm missing? And working together with a coach on a one-on-one basis is supreme for this, because every single week, 52 weeks in a year, every single week, you're making that exponential progress towards pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. I can tell you this, the more you get outside of your comfort zone, the less uncomfortable it is, right? The things that I've done in my life, and I would love to go back and see that. The data entry positions that I had when I didn't know how to type, all the different, how did I do it? I showed up with the intention of figuring it the fuck out and doing my best and over delivering and asking questions and doing that. And I can tell you this, honestly, in my life, sure, have there been failures and mistakes and all sorts of things? Sure, absolutely. But there have been way more successes based on that individual effort in that moment to do the best that I could with what I had. And then building on that ability, because it's like this. Compound interest. We know how compound interest is. You put $100 in the bank at 2% interest, you get $102. That 102 then gets multiplied 2%, and then it becomes 104. I may not be doing the math right, but you get the idea, the compound interest. So when you decide, hey, listen, I'm going to get dirty, I'm going to get beat up, I'm going to be vulnerable, it's going to be scary, but guess what? Instead of being afraid, I'm going to be fucking excited. I'm going to be excited about how I'm going to push myself through uncomfortable situations. I'm going to be excited about finding the strength and the resiliency within, because I could tell you this. You are way stronger. You are way more resilient. You are way more creative. You are way more resourceful. You are way more intelligent. You are way more anything than you give yourself credit for. I'll stop short of saying you're amazing, but we all are amazing. It's all about what it is that we feed our mind and tell ourselves. Perfection is bullshit. There's nothing that's perfect, right? Start it, do it, figure it out. That's the goal. And enjoy the fuck out of it, right? Enjoy that. The crafting of your presentation, the crafting of your book, the crafting of your writing, the crafting of your cooking, the crafting of whatever it is that you're going to do in your life. Be excited about that. All right, let's keep going. Let's get into the next lie. Lie number 4. There are already so many other people out there doing it. Why bother? I had somebody talk to me about doing a podcast the other day, and they said, but Chris, there's like 7 million podcasts out there. I'm like, sure. Okay. So I'm not good at math. I said, but there's 8 billion people out there. So that tells me that there's more opportunity, right? Oh, there's already somebody out there doing that. So what? Right? What are some other creative ways that you can get resourceful and bring some uniqueness to that situation? How can you bring uniqueness to something that you're cooking? Oh my God, Chris, pancakes have been made 17 times. I'm like, okay, have there been pancakes made with pizza? Have there been pancakes made with cookie dough? I don't know. What could be the new unique thing? Can you take a pancake and roll it up and sell it frozen and it's a pancake on a stick to go? Whatever, right? There's a great book out there, and I love this book. Marie Forleo, I think it's Forleao or something like that. Maria Forleo. The book is called Everything is Figure Outable. And I love that book because so many times we don't push ourselves beyond the constraints of what is quote unquote normal or whatever it is. Right. So when you think about, there's so many other podcasts out there. When I thought about that myself, I'm like, there's a ton of motivational podcasts out there. What can I do to be unique? How about this? I could just be myself. And I gave it a lot of thought before I started doing this podcast. I've been doing this podcast now for 6 years. I did another radio show for 5 years before that. Got a little bored of it, put it on hiatus, took a couple of years off of the whole personal development thing, tried to be a normal person. It didn't work. I came back to it and had somebody ask me to be on their podcast network. And I thought about it. I'm like, okay, what kind of podcast am I going to do? There's tons of them. They're out there polished and perfect, and where people spend 18 hours to work on a 1 hour podcast. I'm not going to be that dude. And that's where it came up with Raw and Unscripted. I'm not going to worry about the camera angles. I'm not going to worry about all that stuff. I'm going to deliver you content that you can easily understand and that you can apply in your life every single week so that exponentially you come back here in 6 months, a year, 2 years. I've been doing it for 6. I know a lot of people who've been listening to this who are super successful as a result of listening to me and working with me, right? Let's think about that. Let's look at this opportunity to bring something unique. Maybe take a look at the system of what it is that you are doing to create that final product. What is the system? How can the system be a little bit more unique? How can the preparation be a little bit more unique? How can the delivery be a little bit more unique? Sure, there are tons and tons of podcasts out there. My podcast happens to be in the top 10% of all podcasts internationally, globally. There's obviously a lot. And it's taken me 6 years of showing up every single week, doing this live video cast on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It has taken all that consistency to be able to get into that 10%. And now my goal is the 5%. So it was easier to get to the 10%. But now, because I'm playing with the big boys, what is it that I can do to get to I think I'm top 10%. What can I do to get to 9%? What are some of the experts doing? I watch a lot of podcasts. What are they doing? What are some things that I could bring into to play? Maybe I could start doing segments on the show, and I could break it down into 15-minute segments, and each segment is a little bit different. Maybe I can set a segment apart of the show to ask some very unique and entertaining questions. Get people like, oh my God, that's a pretty fucking good question. Like when I ask people like, alive or dead, who would you have dinner with and why? That brings up a lot of cool stuff. Brings up a lot of cool stuff in that person. And sometimes I can use that information to help them with a situation that they've been having by indirectly telling me that. So when you think about your life and you think about, oh, there's already so many out there, what sets you apart? What is your special talent? What's that unique gift that you can bring to the table? And then bring it, because there is no shortage of of uniqueness out there. And I think about in terms for you, right? What's my niche? What's my delivery? What sets me apart? And I know there's lots of no excuses coaches out there and but what sets me apart? And I genuinely care about people and the people that I'm talking to. I genuinely care about everybody who's listening to this right now. All of you. I may not see you. I don't know it, but I love and appreciate you. And that is from my heart. From my heart. So I care about your success. So why do I care about your success? Because I want this world to be an amazing place for my son. So again, thinking about our why. What's your why? What's the biggest piece of leverage in your life that will get you to do the things that are uncomfortable, that will get you to stop lying to yourself about success, right? What is that for you? All right, let's go to another lie. 5 lie. This is the 5th lie. I got 6. There's more, but I'm gonna give you 6, and I'm gonna give you some specific strategies. So hang with me. We're getting there. Hope you're enjoying the conversation. Please put in the comments in the chat what you're digging out of this. Maybe something I missed. I could do another episode on that. Also in the chat in the comments with you guys watching live or on the replay, let me know what topics you want me to do on future shows. I'll be honest with you, I'm having a challenge in coming up with new topics because I feel like I've talked about everything in the last 6 years. So that is my challenge, is coming up with creative ways to find new ways of looking at stuff I may have explored before, or going back and doing a deeper dive on it, or maybe perhaps going back and listening to a show that I did before and seeing how my perspective might be different. And then actually using that show as a way of demonstrating the evolution that Christopher has taken place. So that's something unique. You never see that in a show. You never see somebody going back and going, here's a podcast I did, 5 years ago. And here's how I changed, whatever it might be. So line number 5, this is a good one. I hear this a lot, and I used to think this myself, but once I'm successful, then I'll be happy. Fasten your seatbelts, ladies and gentlemen. No, you won't. And I will tell you this, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but it does for a little short while. Fame doesn't make you feel better, but necessarily for the long term, but it sure does for a little while. And so when I think about this, once I'm successful, then I'll be happy. And it's what I've said before, and I want you to get this through to your head. Enjoy the process. Enjoy the process. You're growing, you're changing, you're evolving, you're pushing yourself, you're setting the example for other people to follow. It might be your kids. All right. Let's be the example we want to show them. Let's not do as I say, not as I do kind of thing with our parents. Let's not be hypocrites in our life. But when you think about this, I've met famous people. I was going to show you guys pictures, but I met famous people, rock stars, actors and musicians and business people. And one of the common things that I was surprised to hear was that the money and the fame didn't bring them permanent happiness or permanent confidence. What it brought for them, if they got it too easy, was what's going to happen and how am I going to lose it? So sometimes when you think about that, the success may be long and hard, but then you earn it. And then you realize no matter what fucking happens now, I've already been challenged and pushed so hard. I know without a shadow of a doubt, whatever comes in front of me, I will figure it out. And you tell yourself that. You don't get worried, when's the other shoe going to drop? You sit there and say, okay, how can I best prepare myself for what may happen next? Without being worried or overboard about that. But I've seen people get the success and the fame. I think Jim Carrey, the famous comedian, actor, said, I wish everybody could be rich and famous so they could realize it doesn't answer all of their problems. Because, and I can tell you this, I've had the ego. I've been successful both in my career and in my private life as a coach and a speaker. I've spoken on stages all over the world. I've done all those things. And sure, there is a sense of gratification. There's a sense of achievement. There's a sense of accomplishment. There's a sense of pride. There are all those things. But ultimately, when I think about that, if we don't do the inner work, right? And if we think that success is a destination or happiness is a destination, why can't we be happy in the process of doing it? But that's a choice. And so oftentimes we correlate in our brains, we correlate hard with terrible or negative. It's going to be hard, so it's negative, and it shouldn't be hard. It should be easy. I want it to be easy. I just want to be. No. Because as you go through that grind, as you change who it is that you are by enduring tough situations, the happiness comes from the confidence, right? And that's what I teach you guys, is the confidence. I was just telling my group coaching people this last night. By the way, I have a group coaching program that is super affordable that you should be in. If you're watching this and listening to this and you never work with me and you get value out of the podcast, just imagine what it would be like to work with me one-on-one. But I was just talking to my clients last night, and we talked about the fact that all of this is unfolding in a perfect way. And the challenge and the growth is where we should be happy, right? Am I putting 1% effort forth every single day? Have I done something today to move the needle on my project? I talk about needle movers, right? For me, 3 needle movers a day in my goals. I have 3 personal and 3 professional goals for 2025. Can I move the needle three times in one day? So you think 3 times in one day, 365 days a year, how many times do I move the needle? How successful do you think I am? And it's not perfect. I will tell you that right away. Oh, Chris, it's always great to be you. I just did a podcast a couple of episodes ago where I talked about my vulnerable feelings. And I talked about, how I get scared and how I feel sometimes like an imposter. And we all experience those things. I'm not telling you that by doing these things, you'll never experience them again. But what you will have is the ability to respond in those situations, first and foremost, with like, okay, I got this. Fuck, this sucks. It's terrible. I'm not going to tell you guys to sugarcoat it, but God, this sucks. Okay, I got this. I'm going to figure it out. And when I figure it out, guess what? I'm going to have another opportunity for how not to do it again. And perhaps I'll be better prepared in the event that something similar happens to this. So you're building an arsenal. You're building your toolbox in everything that you're doing. This right now, you're going to have some tools when I give you suggestions. You put those tools and those suggestions on a sticky note and you stick them on your monitor and you apply them in your life. Guess what? You can throw the sticky note away, but because the lesson's still there. And then you realize, hey, I've been here before. Oh, fuck, this sucks. Why does this keep happening to me? And if you say that to yourself, why does this keep happening to me? It's because you haven't learned the lesson yet. Or perhaps you need to learn a different aspect of the lesson. And that should be exciting. That should not be dreadful. That should not be, oh my God, this is killing me. Right? Think about the words and the things that you say to yourself. And that's what this kind of all really is about. The way you relate to yourself. Are you a fraud? Are you being fake to yourself? And this takes honesty. And if you're willing to have the conversation with me and you've never had a coaching session with me, just because you're watching this and you're listening to this right at this very moment, I will give you a coaching session. Free, no charge, won't fucking try to sell you anything. If you dig it, cool, you can work with me. If not, no worries. But let's have some honest conversation. And most people don't want to hear the honest feedback. They want to be lied to and told how great they are. Me, I'm one of those motherfuckers like, okay, what can I do in the podcast to make it better? So I'm asking you guys, send me an email, info@noexcusescoach.com. Tell me what it is that I can improve on the show. I want to hear it. I want to hear it because it'll allow me to tweak it a little bit better. Chris, make it shorter. Chris, don't fucking tell so many stories. Whatever it might be. And then I continue to refine and polish and get a little bit better and get a little bit better and get a little bit better. Right? But choose to be happy now. And I find that, again, when you focus on gratitude and not scarcity, again, those shifts, right? If I continue to be negative and if I continue to pick myself apart, do you think I'll really be successful on my own merit, or will it be just for a moment in time? And will there be other lessons that I need to learn underneath that? So just be honest with yourself right now. Decide that you're going to take that imperfect action. Decide that you're going to be happy now. Decide that you're going to be a fucking tough motherfucker who's going to have a lot of life experiences, that is going to be able to share that wisdom with other people and make this world a better place. Right? You think about that. So it's not the money and the fame that's going to make you happy. It's going to be, again, putting your head on that pillow at night going, hey, did I make a difference in the world today? Hey, was I a good father? Was I a good mother? Was I a good spouse? Was I a good leader, a good boss today? Was I a good humanitarian? Did I fucking shout at a bunch of people who I didn't even know and yell at them for shit I didn't even know what they were doing? Right? People in traffic, you fucking let people go. Let people have their life. Focus on your life, ladies and gentlemen. Lie number 6. I can do it all by myself. Right? And so oftentimes we don't want to ask for help. We don't want to seem weak. We don't want all this other stuff. We don't want to spend the money to get a coach or to take a class, but you can't do it alone. Not in this competitive world that we're in now. We have more opportunities than we've ever had before with technology. Like me being able to do a podcast. I couldn't have had a radio show before. I would have had to have gone to a radio station, which I tried doing. I actually did this whole other fucking thing. I wrote letters to all the radio stations in Southern California, told them I would work for free, was all this shit. But here I am. And literally, if I wanted to play music, I could go and play music. I've actually been entertaining doing a music podcast. You need people on your team. My coach, Sally, my mentors, Walt and Jock and Lee and all the different people in my life. The coaches, the masterminds I've been in, the courses that I've taken, the people that I still talk to today. You need a team of people that can help you. And it's important to have the buddy system. So if nothing else, get an accountability partner. An accountability partner is somebody who will be honest with you. That when you say, hey, Sally, I'm going to do this and this and that next week. And Sally says, okay, what is it going to take to do it? And you tell Sally that you're going to do it and then you don't do it. Sally needs to get in your ass. Not, oh, why didn't you do it? Oh, I didn't have time, or this came up and I'll do it next week. Okay. Why wasn't it enough of a priority to be able to schedule that time for yourself? You know, you need to be asked tough questions. You said you're going to do this for 3 times now, and you keep giving me an excuse. What's the real reason why you're not doing it? Be vulnerable, be transparent, be authentic with your accountability partner. And then you hold you guys each other accountable every single week, maybe every 2 weeks. And you look at that 52 weeks in a year. If you're held accountable to take 3 actions in 7 days, which is totally realistic. Again, imagine where it is that you can be in 6 months to a year. Maybe it's going to take 3 years. But if you're lucky, again, it's 2025 right now. 3 years is going to be 2028. How cool would it be to say, I've got a 3-year plan to own my own business and be independent of a job? How cool would it be to say in 3 years, I'm going to live in Italy? How would it be cool to say in 3 years, I'm going to lose 50 pounds and be in the best shape of my life? Whatever it might be for you. The time is going to go by. It's up to you in these moments. Aubrey Marcus wrote a book, How to Win the Day. And when I first saw it, I was like, that's ridiculous. Like, anybody can win the day. It's about the consistency of winning the week, winning the month, winning the year, and winning the years. But realistically, we only have this moment right now in front of us. When we wake up in the morning, we have that opportunity to say, hey, listen, I'm going to focus on what's positive or what's negative. I'm going to focus on what's good for me or what's bad for me. I'm going to put things in my body that's good for me or that's bad for me. I'm going to put things in my brain that's good for me or that's bad for me. And then set the intention. The intention today is that I do something by which doing so that when I go to sleep tonight, I can feel a sense of pride. I can feel a sense of accomplishment. What's the one thing I could do today that can push myself out of the side of my comfort zone and something that I've been procrastinating on for some time? The exercise that I just gave my group coaching program participants was over the last 2 weeks. Pick one thing every single day that you've been procrastinating on and go do it. So part of that is they needed the direction from me to be able to go do those things. But in talking to them last night, I'm like, what's the update? I'm like, oh my God, I wish I would have done it sooner. It wasn't as bad as I made it out to be. It wasn't going to take as long as I thought it was going to be. It wasn't going to be, whatever it might be. Most of the things that they did over the course of the last 14 days, they realized I should have just done it. Rather than procrastinating on, oh, I don't want to make that phone call. I don't want to do that. I told him, I said, just write down the steps of what it is that you need to do. Ask yourself if it's realistic and then take that first step. Once you take that first step and once you put things into motion, it's easier to carry that motion. But decide in your brain, like, what's the big picture? What's the big picture? Where are we at right now? Oh shit, we've been going 52 minutes. Holy crap. All right. So here's some things to do. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. This might go a little bit over, but I thought it was actually going to be short. So what to do? Number one, have a humongous why. Again, what is your why that's going to get you through those tough times? For me, I wrote my eulogy, and the crux of my eulogy says, Christopher Rausch will have fought for what's right and what's fair. He will have risked for which that mattered, and he have left the earth a better place for who he was and what he did. That's my why. My why is to push myself and to do things that are uncomfortable in order to inspire my son to do those things as well. My why is to impact a person every single day so that by which doing so, they go and impact another person. And we set a ripple effect in the world to make the world a better place, a more compassionate, a more understanding, a more loving, a more empathetic place. When you have a big enough why, you have a big enough how. So remember the why. Ensure that you surround yourself with go-getters and people who are doing the things that you admire. Who is that person? Who do you want to be like? Obviously, your own unique person, but what does that look like? What does that vision look like? Right? Surround yourself with the people that are going after it. Here's another thing. I'll put this in the comments. Watch the hero's journey. It's the Joseph Campbell story. You guys can find it on YouTube. It's 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'll put it in the link for this show, and I'll put it in the comments of the live video cast. It's on YouTube. It's 1 hour and 20 minutes. It's free. You watch it, you get inspired. You realize that the ebbs and the flows and the peaks and the valleys and everything else in our life, how it all ties together. And when you do that, message me after you watch it. I would love to get your input on that. info@noexcusescoach.com. Send me an info. Let me know what's up. You guys are connected with me on social media too. I would love to know your thoughts after you watch it, because everybody who's watched it has come back and said, Chris, the fucking world needs to watch this. My kids need to watch this. People need to watch this. I'm like, yeah, I know, right? But I do my little part in having you guys watch it. I have my clients watch it. Sometimes I watch it with people and then we discuss about it. So maybe we'll do that. But yeah, the hero's journey, the Joseph Campbell story, I'll put the link in there. Another suggestion is to challenge yourself to get out of your comfort zone on a regular basis. Now, here is the training wheels aspect of that. 7 days in a week. Do one thing every 7 days. This is how you start. One thing every 7 days that's completely uncomfortable and out of your comfort zone. If it means standing on the street corner waving a sign about your business, then do it. If it involves making cold calls, do it. If it involves doing cold social media outreach on LinkedIn, then do it. If it involves having a tough conversation with a friend that you haven't had, then do it. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Perhaps you've been walking around the block for the last 6 months, maybe 2 blocks, maybe 3 blocks, whatever it is. Push yourself outside of your comfort zone on a regular basis. Another suggestion, and this is super important as well. I probably should have started the show off with this, but when we think about success, what is success for you? What is success for you? And I had to think about this for myself. What is success for me? And I wrote this down just to kind of just be frank and honest with you guys. Freedom to be who I want, when I want, freedom to be where I need to be. Freedom for me is massive to be who I am. Financial freedom, not to be rich and to buy 17 cars, but to be able to do the things that I want to do when I want to do them, or have the ability to plan for them and save for them. Like we went to Italy in 2022. That took some time to plan. It took a lot of time to save. I think it was 3 years of saving, of being very deliberate and intentional to be able to save for that, to be gone for 15 days. But again, freedom to do what I want, to be where I want to go. My other non-negotiable is health. Success for me is health. Success for me is ability to decline any offers that seem too good to be true. And I just had to decline an offer that somebody gave me to start a company, to start a chemical solutions cleaning company. And their goal was to sell it to Unilever for $7 million in a couple of years. So I'm leaving a lot of bread on the table, but money isn't as important to me as it used to be. Ego is not as important to me as it used to be. I'm not passionate about the product. So sometimes you have to be able to say, for me, success is being able to decline stuff that does not resonate with me, as opposed to like, oh man, I can make a lot of money. Sure, I need that. No, success is being able to do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. Success to me is challenging myself to consider new ideologies about life and to potentially embrace them for my experiences, right? You know, I was never a meditation person. I was never a breathwork person, but because I pushed myself to understand and to learn new skills to be able to handle anxiety and to handle overwhelm and to all those different things, I've learned to meditate. I've taken a breathworks class, right? I'm constantly pushing myself, right? When you think about that. Here's another thing you can do. Visualize your success regularly. So what I do in the morning is when I wake up in the morning, I run a little movie. Like, what's the most important thing for me, the aspect? And it used to be really speaking on stages and sharing my book and doing all that stuff. But over the last year, especially really the last 6 months, I've re-identified what my goals are. And it's not about conquering the world anymore. It really is about the next 10 years are being the best dad I could possibly be and enjoying all those moments. So I've made investments to make sure that my son has an amazing childhood continuing. And that's the most important for me, not traveling and being a motivational speaker. For me, being a dad for the next 10 years is most important. So I've adjusted a lot of the things that I used to think were important to me. And I changed my identification with success. And so now my identification with success partially is that my son, no matter when I die, will have the opportunity to say, well, my dad said. And so for me, if I could give him as many lessons and opportunities that he says, well, my dad thinks, or my dad, and using me as the benchmark for what's smart and intelligent and to set the example, for me, that's success. To know whether, you know, if I'm an angel or whatever it is, that after I'm gone, my son, because of what I've done and what I put into him, he has the ability to say, well, my dad said this. And I get so jealous, proactively jealous, when I hear people now, they've lost their dad and like, God, my dad was my greatest inspiration. My dad was the smartest guy. My dad gave me so many lessons. That's what I want. It used to be world domination, that Christopher Rausch changed the world. But now, can I just change the life of my kid? Yes, I can do that. Again, enjoy the process. It's a journey, not a destination. Enjoy the process, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to be, I'm going to be happy when and if, or when I get these things. It's like, choose to be happy right now. That is a big one. Here's a big thing right now. The negative self-talk, stop with the word trying. I'm trying to lose weight. I'm trying to be better in my relationship. I'm trying to get up on time. I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying. Fuck all that. Right? You want to know the definition or the opportunity for success is to stop trying and to start doing. And I already talked about that. Right? So if you have been trying to lose weight, what is it that you need to do differently? Perhaps I need to go talk to a doctor. Perhaps I need to hire a trainer. But trainers are expensive, Chris. Give me all the excuses. But if you haven't been changing what it is that you're doing and you're going to die early, then what the fuck does the rest of it matter for? Right? Take your health seriously. Go to the doctor, get the test done, make sure you're doing all that. And lastly, I'm going to give you these questions because I am a man about questions. So I'm going to give you 4 questions that you can put in your rotation that will help you in those moments of indecision, those moments of a lack of confidence, whatever it might be. These questions can help you redirect yourself and be able to get the answers that you need in order to start taking the action that you should be taking. So here's the question. In those moments, ask yourself, is this, whatever it is that you're doing, is this getting me closer to or further from my stated goal? And be honest with yourself. If you're putting shit in your body, but you're expecting to be a high performing athlete or actor or whatever it might be, is this getting me closer to or further from my stated goal? It's getting me further from my stated goal. Okay, what can I do right now? I can put it down. I can have carrots. I can do whatever. You can redirect what it is because it really is all about awareness, acceptance, and action. I got to be aware of the situation. I've got to accept it. And then I got to take action on that. So I'm aware that I'm not putting things into my body or doing things right now that are going to fuel my success. So now I need to change it. So again, is this getting me closer to or further from my stated goals? Question. Here's this. Will I be proud of what I'm doing or not doing right now, tomorrow at the same time? So when I wake up tomorrow, if I'm, getting distracted or I'm doing whatever it is, am I going to be happy with this choice tomorrow? For me, back when I was drinking, it'd be like, am I going to be happy with this choice tomorrow? I'm going to wake up and feel like shit. I'm not going to be as great doing my podcast. I'm not going to be as great doing my coaching clients. I'm not going to be as great at my workouts. Is what I'm doing right now something I'm going to be proud of? Yes or no? No. Okay. Then why do I keep doing it? What is this something, what it is I'm running from? And you got to ask yourself the deeper questions. You can't just ask yourself the one question. Again, you got to say, okay, what's the next question that I can ask myself, by which doing so will help me recreate a new definition of the future? Again, being resourceful, putting those things on yourself. Question number 3, what am I creating right now with my thoughts and my actions? Are they positive or destructive? What am I creating right now? What am I creating with my thoughts and my actions? And I have to catch myself. I'm creating negativity. I'm creating scarcity. I'm creating lack. Okay, what else? What do I need to do? Okay, maybe I need to talk to somebody right now. Maybe I need to talk to one of my mentors or one of my friends and share with what's going on and be honest and vulnerable and have them kick my ass. And Chris, what do you think of this? Did you think about that? So again, what am I creating right now in my thoughts and my actions? What am I creating? I'm creating complacency. I'm creating mediocrity. I'm completing regret, right? When you think about it. And that's ultimately for me is like, when you get to the end of your journey, are you going to look back and be proud of the things that you did and you accomplished in your life and the chances you took and the discipline and the muscles and the courage and everything else that you created for your life? Or are you going to look back and go, fuck, I wish I would have done more. I wish I'd have taken more chances. I wish I would have set the example more. I wish I wouldn't have been so complacent. I wish I wouldn't have been so destructive in my thoughts. I wish I wouldn't have always expected the shoe to drop, right? Because you think about that. This is all up to you. You could take this and write notes down and take it and put it into action and take 3 or 4 strategies or 5 strategies and put them into your rotation. You could say, you know what, for the next 3 months, I'm going to do these 3 things. And then 3 months after that, I'm going to do these 3 things. And 3 months after that, I'm going to do these 3 things. So now I have 12 things that I've taken from this podcast that I'm going to put into action and rotation. And I'm going to hire Chris as my coach. And guess what? In 2 or 3 years, my life could be exponentially different. I could be running my own business. I could be in a successful relationship. I could be traveling all over the world. I could be paying my bills on time. I could be healthy. I could be less anxious, whatever it might be for you. So what is it for you? What is it that you're going to do? Stop telling yourself the lies. Get the right people in your life. Have a North Star that's going to guide you. Be excited for the journey. Be prepared for anything. Or maybe not even necessarily be prepared for it, but just understand and know that you have the ability, you have the strength, you have the tenacity, more so than you ever thought you could, to be able to go through these things, because it's all about leverage. It's all about leverage. And I was just using this with somebody the other day. I'm like, if I gave you a Lamborghini, your favorite dream car, dropped a Lamborghini, I said, would you take it to Jiffy Lube or would you take it to the fucking Lamborghini dealership? Would you figure out a way to pay $1,000 for an oil change? I have a friend of mine who has a, what is it? An Aston Martin? No, not Aston Martin. Jaguar. I think he has a Jaguar. Something else. But he literally told me it's $1,000 to change his oil because they have to jack up the engine or do some weird shit like that on some fucking expensive car. I had another friend of mine who bought a used Cadillac and found out the hard way that, yeah, you could buy a used Cadillac for decent money, but when you take it to the Cadillac dealer, it's a lot more expensive. Right? So what is it going to be for you? What is it going to be for you? And there you have it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Raw Unscripted Show. We've been going for a little over an hour. I appreciate you guys. I will make sure I respond to all the questions, all the opportunities. We'll be back here again next week with another solo show. So let me know in the comments. Let me know in the messages what it is that you would like me to talk about, what topics, what guests, if you've seen or heard a guest on another show. Love an introduction. Let me know who that should be here on the Raw Unscripted Show. And I appreciate you guys. So again, live your life. Have your dreams. Bust your ass. Reflect upon your actions, have the right people in your life, and enjoy the fuck out of the journey. I do. All right. So I love you guys. I'll see you here next week on the Raw Unscripted Show. Go out there, be beautiful, and stay unstoppable.